like I'll cater my game for a lot of what people are gonna try to do to me. So it's like play either into what I think their weaknesses are, or kind of move away from their strengths. You know?
How about what's your mindset when you walk out to a competition mat?
I don't know. I don't really think of anything. You know, just do it.
Flow state.
Like
You don't say to yourself, "I'm the fucking best. I'm gonna kill this guy."
definitely not.
Really?
No, I think I've done so many competitions where I thought I was gonna lose every time, and then
I've
win
never
most of
thought
the
I was
time.
gonna lose.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you never lost.
I pleasantly surprised myself more than I.
I like to lower the bar and exceed expectations.
Yeah,
I'm the
that's
opposite.
great.
Whenever I win, even if it's by submission, I'm like, damn, could have done it so much faster, so much better.
Really.
If I win by submission, I'm like, thank God that's behind me.
honestly, well, like when I won,
Yikes, that was risky. I could have a normal job. But I'm doing this. Thank God it went well. All right.
this is. I completely
You
sympathize
resonate.
with this. Yeah,
See?
yeah.
Everyone's different. These guys have been trying to.
We're done with
Glad
that.
that's behind me. 100%. 100%.
I mean, I just like doing jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't necessarily get a thrill from competing, you know? I'm like,
Really?
I'm just like, oh, cool, we're done.
That's like the best part for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I just wish I could train every day and not care about anything else. This is
Then why do you compete?
For money.
money. Money.
That's money.
Well, I love training.
Because if I never competed, who would know about me? No one would care about me.
So you want people to know about you?
Yeah, I mean, to make a living, right? Because imagine, you don't know who you are, you can't do seminars, you can't teach. It's like, it's
So
hard.
it's primarily to build yourself up so that you can sustain yourself and be successful.
Absolutely,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
actually. Do you like competing? Like, do you like the act of competition and winning, or is it just like?
For a long time, I said no, but I'm trying to not be like that anymore. You know, I'm like, okay,
I like this.
I kind of like it
I
more
like
and
this.
more
This is
now.
what
You
I
know?
wanna do.
Like, I'm excited about CJI. I'm not really like, I'm not like, fuck, I don't want to do CJI. I really want to do it. And I mean, I think it's changing maybe because I feel more experienced and I'm more used to competing. Because before, even until recently, like right before the last CJI, I was like, wow, I don't even think I can beat any of these guys. You know, like even after I won
you
trials,
should
I was
lie
like,
to yourself.
He's too smart for
You're
that.
too smart. You'll figure it out. You know all your
I've
tells.
been doing it so long.
I'm like, I can't believe like I can beat these guys. I'm like, really? So
You
and
start
then-
to believe in yourself
now,
after
now
you.
I kind of believe it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, I can beat these guys.
But you
I
believe
feel-
it because you understand their game. You're like, wow, he's doing this poorly, and I do this better. Or what is your?
a little bit of that, and a little bit of like, oh, I've realized I'm actually quite good.
It's from the results. It's from the results.
Yeah, but it
from what
took a
sounds
lot
like.
of results. Like even when
Yeah.
I won trials, I'm like just a fluke. You know, in my mind, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
bro, I could have just been like lucky.
I mean, I didn't think that for you, but I thought that of myself many times. I'm like, yeah, I won, but like, I don't know, maybe that guy's not good, you know?
Yeah,
Like, shit, I don't
exactly.
know.
You know, like, but then like for example, right before CGI, I fought like Varela, Dorsey, Ty, and then I had Varela again, and then Hulk. I was like, oh, these are all pretty good guys, and I was like, I didn't feel like terrible.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Shit, maybe I
guess
can
I'm
hang
good.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hulk, you just took your foot off the gas.
Yeah, I should have just ate it, you know.
Nah,
No,
it's
no,
okay. It's
break my
okay.
No,
knee.
you
I'm
should have
joking.
just.
I should have just. I'm joking. I'm joking.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
I should have just probably kept wrestling. You know?
Stay engaged.
Yeah, you
I
decide.
was just
Crazy,
like,
like-
I do have this habit of like, okay, I'm winning the match. I'm just gonna chill now.
Can't.
Like in my match with Tommy as well, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna chill now, and then I'm doing guard retention, and he almost passes me. I'm like, oh shit, good thing this is the end of the match, you know?
It ain't ever over till it's over, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Till the fat lady sings, they say.
I don't even know what that means, but
Opera. No one knows this.
Is that like because
over
it's like
till
the
the fat lady
last?
sings?
The fat lady is the last person to sing, usually
Yeah.
in opera.
is it?
I mean, I understand the phrase, but I never actually. I didn't understand.
Brutes.
Lovely.
Competition,
No,
one-on-one combat is like one of the oldest things humans have been doing.
I guess, yeah.
So it's very organic for you to be.
Blinking came first. But
Can you shut the fuck up?
Shut the fuck. What the fuck was
sorry,
that?
continue.
As far as two people doing
Sex.
competing,
Sex.
competing against each other, it's very organic. So that's how I look at it. I don't know how do you look at it? Like are you just like fuck, I have to do this?
I just like jujitsu. Like I just want to like. This is why I think something I like about the way I compete and like just my jujitsu overall is like I feel like I'm generally well-rounded, and then like I always try to bring new things into my game. So I'm not trying to do the same shit over and over and over. 'Cause I'll just get bored. Like even if it works every time, Like I want to mix it up and see what else I can do, and that's where I enjoy it the most. So
I agree with that because when I prepare for competition, I really enjoy sharpening everything up and being like, oh, I'm going to peak, you know what I mean? Looking forward to that peak. And then afterwards, I also really enjoy like, oh, I'm going to play different scenarios, different games that I'm really not that good at. I'm going to develop these skills as well. I think I enjoy all of it, but there's something about going out there and forcing a grown man against their will. It's like,
I don't know. I never really got. Wow, that's a you thing, I guess.
It is.
I don't know. Like
That's
when I win
beautiful. It's
someone,
poetic.
you know, like I never could sympathize with people who'd like win a match and be like super hype. I'm like, I guess this is done. You know, like I don't know.
It's probably also
I'm never
like
that
how
hyped
you
when I win a
like-
match.
Are you?
Well,
Are you competitive?
I've only,
Oh yeah, this is actually. I
What'd you
like
just say?
that you bring this up.
Is he competitive?
Oh,
I'm competitive in everything except jiu-jitsu for the most part, I think. In jiu-jitsu, I feel like so like when I play random video games or board games or whatever game, I love to be competitive just for fun because I enjoy it. But then like it incentivizes things that I don't think are good for long-term development.
For learning.
emotion.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Can't be emotional.
So no, not even the emotional. I'll cheat straight up just to win. Like I'll do whatever. I'll
do
just
steroids then.
No, but, okay. See, this is where it gets to my point. Where, so, like, for example, I'm playing a card game. I'll just try to look at someone else's cards just to win. You know, especially with my family, friends. But then, if I want to develop appreciation for the game, I want to play it the way I think it's supposed to be played. You know, and so with jiu-jitsu, I kind of had to like remove myself from for a really long time. Like, okay, I'm just doing technique. I'm like I disassociate myself from the outcome, right? And then after a while, especially when I compete, I kind of bring that back in, you know? But it does, like, I don't like that. In the training room, I don't think I need to be that competitive. And before competition, and, like, I ramp it up, then I can be a little bit more competitive. But it doesn't necessarily encourage the things I want to work on. It doesn't, like, if I'm competitive, I might, to some degree, maybe I can think of new jiu-jitsu, think of new techniques, and I let that fuel me a little bit. I'm like, okay, what can I do to solve this problem? But it's more out of interest and curiosity than, like, I need to beat this guy.
Now, do you, to me, from the outside, obviously, you know, you do most of your training overseas and then you come to B team. When I watch you train, it doesn't actually look like you train differently for competition. It looks like you just do what you want to do.
Now, yes.
Okay.
Like I think the last camp kind of like burnt me out a little bit because I was like
Last CJI camp?
last CGI camp. Well, I was just like
Doing like 5.
just like bang, bang,
Lunges,
bang,
yeah.
bang, bang. You know, just like that would just tired me out. So this time, like I'm trying to approach it where it's just like I'm just doing the jiu-jitsu I like to do. I'm just focusing on that, focusing a little bit on submissions, trying to get the sub. But I'm not gonna try. I don't know. I never thought of like I want to grit this out. I want to just. I don't know. Like I'm trying to do it to enjoy jiu-jitsu still, you know? And this is more, I guess, avoiding burnout and stuff like this.
I think there's you know, something to that. It's like you see a lot of guys that do get burnt out just because they've been training fucking for years and they're like, all right,
Probably how you're training too. Like if every time you go in there, it's like you're competitive, you're falling back on your A game because you have to beat everyone you're training with, and you're gonna get burnt out mentally, but also physically. Like you're gonna, if you're going balls to the wall every time.
Clearly, you know, we all stopped or didn't pursue a traditional job because we love jiu-jitsu. It's like you want to make sure that you still love what you're doing every day. It's like you don't want to fucking
can very
you wanna
easily
hate it.
shift away from that, like without your realization of it.
For sure.
But yeah, it's just funny because when you first came, you only been here for like a week or something, but it's like, I was like, Joe, are you prioritizing submissions at all? He's like, oh, well, I want to hold this position and I'm not incentivized to take the back. I'm like, bro, fucking sub him. Come on.
I'm trying, you know, I was
Yeah,
doing more
no.
leg locks.
Dude, you're doing way more leg locks now. Looks awesome.
Reluctantly.
I know. Thank you.
They should just be banned from the sport. It's like cheating. It's like if you respect like the art of like positional this and that. What the fuck are you?
Bro, it's so funny watching Joe Chen because he narrates his own roles.
I know.
He's like, I don't really want to pass here, and there's 1 minute left, so
Bro,
I'm gonna fall back into
I'm
a leg
like
entanglement.
fighting for my life to stop his guard pass.
I don't want to call him out.
Oh,
I was just like,
I gave it to him. I had this 30 seconds left. Fucking cruise.
he's also not being competitive. He's like, I don't
Exactly.
need to grit this out. It's okay. It's part of
You
the
gotta
game.
love the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
Go on.
But I don't know. I don't know, because some people I think get pissed at this, you know, like like if I narrate and I talk too much.
Ethan loves it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's something.
I'm reading your mind.
I think this came out of a desire for me to communicate what I'm doing to my training partner, like long time ago, where it just, I think it raises the level of everyone.
And you're telling me you're not autistic?
Shut the fuck up, bro.
I'm sorry. Go on.
Because imagine if I tell you what I'm gonna do,
And then I do it.
and then either I'm gonna still do it, which means it's sick, or you're gonna stop me, which gives me more stuff to work with. Because then I'm like, okay, now I know, you know what I'm. Because one of the biggest problems I think in the training room is, let's say if you want to raise the level of the room, is you want to make sure they know what you're doing, right? Because if I just do the same shit to someone over and over and they don't understand what I'm doing, they're not going to be able to defend it, right?
Ethan's like,
Whereas you
I don't want them to know at all.
So by communicating and kind of talking about what I'm doing, and sometimes it's just
they'll learn to counter, and then you'll learn to counter, and the overall level will raise up faster.
Yeah, and I do like I like to say, oh, that was nice, oh, that was close, stuff like this, just because
keep their spirits up.
You know, this is honestly just because. But I've never I'm not like Wagner. I don't talk in competition. Maybe I should, honestly.
Yeah, do it. Fucking.
I can't multitask.
Oh, actually, I talked to Varela in my match. He tried to like do some. What did
In the CGI match?
Yeah, he tried to like jump off the wall to do some crazy shit. I'm like, I don't want to be highlighted like that. Or I said something like,
did he say?
I don't want to get hit with that shit. And then I just circled away.
I think I only talked in the Yuri match.
Really?
He told me shut up, and I said I love you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's the only
is
time
cool.
I've talked. Yeah.
That's the only words you've ever. Did he say I love you back?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, D, so I'll ask you, what instructional would you advise if someone asked you, like, what instructional should I get if they don't have a lot of money and maybe they've never bought an instructional before? What would you tell them would be like a game changer?
Yeah, so it honestly depends on your goals and like what's your initial skill set. But I gotta just talk about some instructionals that I really like and I think are underrated. So one of my favorite instructionals is Danaher's Go Further Faster, half guard passing, and dynamic pins. I think this is the most underrated instructional because I've never heard anyone talk about it, and it's probably my top 3 favorite instructionals.
Dang.
So like a lot of like my passing has come from there. I'd probably reckon Gordon's seated guard. That one's not underrated. I think people rate this one fairly appropriately. Like this one was a great instructional for me just because he talked a lot about like his attacks. And for me, especially at the time, my whole game was seated guard. And so it was like very nice for me to have that type of instructional available. And I basically, I watched that like 3 times. So like that was probably, those two probably 2 of my favorite ones. And then lastly, if I had to give a guess, like probably Craig's power ride, like definitely I really, it would probably be between that one and Just Stand Up. I like both of them. Probably I'd lean a little bit more towards the power ride just because that one was pretty like, it really changed my perspective on a lot of the pinning in Jiu-Jitsu. Like traditionally you're taught to, okay, you want to progress through a hierarchy of pins from like, let's say you pin them on bottom and then you go to side control and then you go to mount and then you take the back and then these are the positions you want to play. Whereas Craig really talked about like almost the in-between a lot of these positions and more unconventional means of pinning people. Because in wrestling, you don't really see people go into like side control, mount. It's quite different the way people approach that. And so in the context, especially of ADCC, you want to keep someone on their back, right? So using a lot of like wrestling tactics and technique to keep someone down. So probably those 3.
Heck yeah. So you said going farther, faster.
Danaher's Go Further Faster, half guard passing and dynamic pinning.
Right.
Gordon
Ryan's
seated guard.
And then power ride and Just Stand Up from Craig Jones.
Yeah,
Sweet.
One of those 2.
I got a wish list. Awesome. Yeah, and then I'll ask you, Jones. I'll just give you the mic. What matches would you recommend people watching it? You know, or your favorite ones that you really felt like, oh, you learned something.
So I mean, like a lot of the times when I watch specific matches to learn specific stuff I want to work on. Right. So a lot of times if I want to work my guard, I'll watch people who are renowned for having good guards. So I watch people like Lachlan Giles. To be honest, a person I've watched quite a lot as well is Diego Paro. I've watched a lot of his stuff. He's got very good, just clean, beautiful jiu-jitsu. A lot of it is just like super smooth, super dynamic. Whereas I feel like some people don't have as much cleanness to it. Obviously, for the outside passing, there's like the Rotolo brothers are very good for that. Gabriel Souza is very good for that. For a lot of my guard recently as well, I've been watching some of Joseph, some of Lachlan's stuff, and then Diego Pao is the main three I've been watching for guard, and then on top the Rotolos and Gabriel Souza are my recommendations.
Like what Bernanke did before, he called it like "fuck your jiu-jitsu," where it's like he was actually inspired by Ryan Hall, who would basically like approach someone's jiu-jitsu and be like, "Oh, just fuck this guy," like as in disrespect their jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Or it's like, for example, a classical like "fuck your jiu-jitsu" example is, so you're playing on top, other person's on bottom, and you just let them entangle into whatever they want, and the goal as a top person is not even to escape, it's just to get as deep as you can but have nothing done to you. And so you kind of disrespect their jiu-jitsu, right? You just stay and it's like, okay,
Just don't get
Pretty much
submitted.
the same that we do. But
yeah. So and then it's just important to have a goal in mind when designing these rounds, right? And so like, for example, like yesterday the class I taught, there was certain goals in mind with whichever round we were doing. And something I think is super underrated that I really like to do when I teach is they'll do the specific round, but then there's also a discussion period, because I think this is a good habit to get in.
This was good actually.
During the middle of the class.
Yeah, he would.
So
do, like,
at the end of the
well,
class, right, you have the specific rounds. So
I want to hear your
let's
take
say-
on this as well. Yeah.
yeah, where it's like you go 3 minutes, you go 3 minutes, and then after that I'll do 3 minutes of them being able to discuss the round. So the prompt I usually give is like talk to your partner, what went well, what didn't, what were some problems and possible solutions. Just so then you can kind of get that discussion going. And because especially when things are fresh in your mind, it's much easier to like talk it through. And it's the best person to talk about it with is the person you just had the round with. Because then it's like you can kind of see it from two different perspectives. Because maybe my impression of something that happened in the round is different from the way you saw it. Because it might not be reflective of the truth. So then you have the person who did it to you. Then you can ask them, oh, what did you do there? I didn't really understand what that was, and so on and so on. And then so using all these things in conjunction, I think like having intention with the rounds you pick and why you're doing the round, but then also having that time to discuss, I think is super important.
That's mad.
Yeah, because to be fair, when I was watching, because it's also like after you do a round like this, it's so easy to forget what happened during the training, you know. So I feel like that discussion period does help you keep it fresh in your mind. But the amount of times I just forget what
Charles
happened.
has no idea what's happened over the last 2 years.
But I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to change.
Nah, I've changed now. You're a changed man now.
Changed since last
Charles.
week.
Yeah, because I definitely
1 week going strong. Get a badge.
Yeah.
Because I definitely improved a lot when I was training with Joseph, right? To be like, after rounds or after specifics, immediately just talking about what I was doing wrong and what he was doing right, or what he thought I could be doing better. Like immediately talking about it straight after the round, and you can do that multiple times during a training. I feel like you learn more than rather like doing an hour in training. At the very end of the hour, you go, damn, you have to remember the last hour of jiu-jitsu you just did. When it's like, bro, I can barely remember the last 5 minutes I just did. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
especially when a lot of the stuff I do myself is a lot of like dynamic stuff where it's like I'm not really thinking a lot of the time, you know.
You
It's a lot
move
of
a
like,
lot.
yeah, it's a lot of natural movement, and like I have an intention, but every single step of the way is like I'm not thinking about that. Like there's loads of times where I pass people's guard and I go, how'd you pass me? I'm like, bro, I have no idea. I'm just inside control.
Just here now.
Just here now.
I just see red and wake
I
up.
I just see red, man. I'm just here. I'm just on your back somehow, yeah. Like, so I think, yeah, definitely those discussion periods. Because because Joseph was the first person I saw do this, right? When I first went to B team, and yeah, it definitely made a difference, helped improve him for sure. And I think it just helps like people understand, even like worse people understand their own jiu-jitsu as well, you know, like just getting.
Yeah,
Let's say
definitely.
you do it with a white belt. What do you benefit from that post-chat discussion?
Me or the white belt?
Well, as in you can tell what they
Yeah.
did wrong.
Oh, but me sitting there, I get to let the watch talk for 3
Well,
minutes,
no.
kill the time.
But this is something
Okay.
I think it's most necessary with someone who's much worse than you, because I think a lot of the difficulty when trying to bridge that gap is there's a knowledge gap, right? So like,
Yeah.
let's say I roll the white belt, they have no clue what the fuck is going on. So this discussion period is meant to enlighten them and make what's very
Yeah.
clear to us clear to them.
But for you,
For me, because then they're gonna get better. They're gonna be able to. I'll tell them exactly what I did.
we don't care about that.
But no, this is
No.
investing. This is literally what you've done at lunch
bro,
earlier.
when-
This is an investment.
When they're getting
Yeah.
better, you will get better too.
See?
Yeah. So, all right.
So
if
it's
it's
a selfish
someone
thing.
And I'll just tell
I
them. I'm like,
believe that will,
Bitcoin.
yeah.
Sharp.
this is
Give
what
you-
I'm gonna do.
If I
Give
was-
you a little bit of that.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing. This is how I think you can counter it, and then
Yeah.
you can even walk through that. It's like
Yeah,
immediate. There's no immediate like benefit to me. It's like, but
Yeah.
long term, this is
Yeah,
a
you
great
want
habit
to. If you just
be.
keep someone with the same move, you may as well teach them the defense because it's like this is getting ridiculous
But
now.
Yeah, because I mean, like for me, like training, it's not the fun thing I get about it. It's not just murking people. If it was just murking people, it'd be like
Yeah.
super boring.
It's pretty
It's
fun.
marking people that give good reactions. I think that is
I think
more
it's
fun.
like dealing with resistance is the most fun, right?
Marking.
It's like I like
I
to.
haven't heard marking in so long.
No, bro, would you don't think murking someone is the most enjoyable part of jiu-jitsu?
I like murking someone who I think is super good. But
Yeah,
that's-
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what I'm
but
talking
then
about.
you murk them once. What if you murk them 10 times?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
not
then I'm
fun.
gassed.
And
No,
think
I'll
about
be so bored.
and
I
think-
like.
Yeah, but then they're not good anymore.
You must have hated our round, bro. You,
Hold on, think about this.
you must have hated that.
Even if you think there are no fast benefits out of this for you, if
Yeah.
you talk to a white belt, there are people that Joseph trains with where he has difficulties to tripod pass them, and they are not as good as you think. But if he goes against someone that is a world champion that never felt this before, like Tommy
Yeah.
Lankaker, for example, he's way better than people he trains with in China. Like not
Yeah.
all of them, but most of them. And he couldn't react to it. So if you talk to someone, even if he's a white belt, talk to him 3-4 times, and it will be already more difficult than sometimes
Yeah.
against the best people, right?
Yeah, straight away it can be more difficult. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah. But in terms of, I guess then you get better rounds with them in the future. Yeah.
Best thing.
When I'm
What's
back
your
home,
schedule like? Yeah.
I usually do like one session, but I have it be fairly long, and then I'll have partners come in and out depending on how their schedules work.
Okay. So
Because-
you have like your window here, and you go like as much as you can
Yeah,
while you're here,
like,
and then okay.
I do still train. Like I'll go from like 9 or 10 o'clock to like 1 or 2 o'clock back home, but it's one session, so
It's
I
a
can
fucking
fit.
long session.
So I can.
Jesus.
But my sessions aren't like okay, here's the class we drill. It's like a lot of like workshopping stuff, and so usually I'll have
What do
like.
you mean?
Well,
It's
when
the
I-
way you teach, right? When
Kind of,
you teach it,
yeah.
yeah. So like you have, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you have them talk about the techniques amongst themselves, and like you add in something of yours, and then again they like kind of drill it and brainstorm and talk about it.
Oh,
So,
I have a
like,
question for you actually. So
Drags
when you're back home and you're watching instructionals, are you drilling exactly what you see in the instructionals, or do you see the instructionals and then you're like, all right, in live training, I'm going to try this? Like, what's your learning when there's not a set class, there's not set high level training partners? Like, how are you and your group of guys progressing, or how are you making sure that you're progressing at a fast rate?
Yeah, so for sure, I think that's a good question actually, because what's it called? Depending on what the movement is and how familiar I am with what's surrounding whatever is being taught in the instructional. Like, for example, if it's something I'm fairly competent in, like let's say it's like some sort of Delhi Hiva sweep. So in that situation, I wouldn't necessarily drill the move so much, as opposed to I would more try to do specific rounds, because the movement is fairly familiar and it's nothing too hard to do.
just applying it.
Yeah. If something's more difficult, like, so sometimes if I had trouble with some leg entries or like the movement itself is difficult, then I'll
You just
focus on
isolate
drilling.
repping the
Will
movement
you
itself.
rep the movement out, like
If
in
it's hard to
Shanghai or
do,
whatever?
if I can do it, and in terms of performing the actual movement in itself is difficult, then I'll rep it. But if it's easy, like if you do like some half guard pass,
Yeah.
doing the movement itself isn't difficult. It's knowing when to hit it and like the
different
timing of
problems
it
and-
exactly, and being able to recognize the situation. So that'll mostly depend on the movement itself. Like if I'm trying to hit like a seonagi, then I'm gonna probably have to rep it a
Drill it
lot
out a
more.
little bit.
And same with like most wrestling exchanges, I'd say like
any move you start off like as you're progressing through the sport, like you start off with a difficulty, and they, then like one move will be like more broad, like like you said, Delahiva, like Delahiva already, but like if there's some spin off this guy's doing, then you have to like drill it once or twice, but you get Delahiva, so now it's just about like timing it and live.
Yeah, like I definitely think I have I don't like the drills where it's like, okay, do this leg drag 100 times. I think I'm not very fond of those, because like you're doing something that's fairly simple in terms of maybe if your goal is to get like better cardio, but I think there are better ways to do that than doing 100 leg drags.
Probably.
But
You don't need another person.
the only time I'd rep for numbers is if, okay, I feel like I'm having trouble performing the technique. So like a lot of takedowns and stuff. Maybe I'm bad at the footwork, then I have to actually rep it.
Yeah.
But
To get it, like,
I'm not
ingrained
I'm
in
not
your
gonna
body.
rep the leg drag unless it's like a specific situation, just like the ones in the gi. I feel like
Yeah, that's so
I'm not
dumb,
very
I
fond
think.
of those.
I think it's kind of dumb.
Like, was it the way that you learned, or do you like? How did you learn basically?
If we're talking about like the same volume of training, I would definitely say like, I mean, I was fortunate enough that I was introduced to like a lot of very like intelligent means of training very early on. So my original coach in Nanjing, he's under a guy named Rob Bernacki, and he's out of Nanaimo in Canada. He has a gym called Island Top Team. And so he was like very heavy on a lot of like concepts in jiu-jitsu. So a lot of the way I approached training it really stemmed on that. And at a similar time, when I had no responsibilities in school, I was watching a lot of tape and I was listening to a lot of podcasts. So this is when BJJ Mental Models, if you're familiar with this podcast, started kicking off, and it gave me a lot of time to really listen to a lot of these ideas. And the guys who started Mental Models, one of them is black belt under Bernacki, Matt Kwan. And so it really introduced a lot of these ideas and kind of exposed me to them more after having already been somewhat familiar to them, just because of my coach really teaching that. But then being able to go into more depth. So like, for example, he talks about like different ways to interpret information in jiu-jitsu. So he he has this thing called alignment theory, which is basically everything can be broken down into posture, structure, base. And then he defines these things. It's not just like, this is something I really like, where it's like, if you want to think about a problem, right, things have to be fairly clear for you to actually like derive things from them and then come to conclusions. So for example, it's not like you hear this a lot where it's like, oh, you want to be in good base, but what does it actually mean, right? It's like, it's hard to define. So he like came up with definitions for all these things. And so it makes it easier to think about. So for example, like base is, well, at least his definition at the time was your base is your ability to generate and absorb force relative to your goals. And this is a very like easy definition. So you can think about base more creatively now, because now you can fit that into so many different positions. Base isn't just being on top and being stable. Base can be, you can be on bottom playing guard, but if you have a good ability to carry weight and then like exert force, this means you're in good base. Similarly, like you can make different analogies, right? If I'm a sprinter, there's optimal base for sprinting, but that doesn't mean it's the optimal base for everything, right? Similarly in jiu-jitsu, it's like, this is how you can kind of take an idea and carry it over to a bunch of different areas. So stuff like that was really helpful for me. So I think thinking about things that way, and then obviously not having many obligations. I mean, being 15 years old during the pandemic, didn't have much I had to do. I didn't do much homework. So
When you see jiu-jitsu in a lot of the videos like on YouTube, for example, like it's kind of like, it seems like a little bit of like a meathead culture with like wrestling and stuff like that as well. But then you seem to take a lot more of like an intellectual approach to jiu-jitsu. Do you think some people just do it on kind of like a instinctual level? And you think
I mean, not everyone. I definitely think there are a lot of people who are very like intelligent about the way they approach it, but it would be, there's no denying that there's definitely that culture of being like being very strong and like kind of just like trying harder, you know? I mean, I mean I might be mischaracterizing, but isn't like Pohada like just like this kind of idea of like, oh, you just want to go. So I mean, I definitely think there's something to be said and something valuable about doing stuff like this, but then there's also, you have to use it intelligently. This can't be everything you're going with. You know, so I think like balancing the two, it's like you can't be like only toughness. And I think of this as like an idea that I really liked a lot was, actually I think I got this. It was like a distinction between growth and performance, and like I believe I got this from a YouTube video talking about Tekken or like Street Fighter, where I was like talking about the difference between the two, and it's like some people, if you're too much in a growth mindset, so like it was like honers versus innovators. I think this is like a similar analog where some people, they just hone the same skill set over and over and really try to refine everything. And then some people, it's not so much about refinement, it's more about innovating with new ideas and trying to bring new techniques in. And so I really think ultimately in jiu-jitsu, it's about balancing the two. And it's a bit of a deviation from like going hard and like a meathead culture. But some people, it's like, I think, how can I connect this back where it's important to balance the two. And I found, like, for me, at least in my jiu-jitsu, it's like basically when I'm about to compete, it's performance based, and that's really refining what I already have.
Yeah.
Versus when I'm in a more of a off season or there's no immediate competitions coming up, then I'm in a more growth mindset where I'm going to be trying to on-take new information.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of characteristics for each of these like mindsets, right? So if I'm more performance oriented, I'm going to be a lot more intuitive with the way I approach my training. I'm not going to think too much about, okay, what's happening in this position? What are I'm going to do what I know, and I'm going to try to do that in a very timely manner. Versus in a more of this growth mindset where I'm trying to on-take new information. I'm going to work at a slower pace. I'm going to think more consciously about things. And this isn't necessarily conducive to like winning, but it's going to help me really think about what I'm doing and then on-take new ideas.
Yeah.
And I feel like some people, they just do one too much. You know, there's some people that are just like, they just drill and they just play around with stuff, but they don't really take the time to refine it to the degree where they can use it competitively. But then there are some people who have a game that they just stuck to, and that's all they do. And so I think ultimately for me, I was very intentional about this, where I was just, I was very like, okay, I'm going to spend X period of time doing like this performance oriented approach, and then X period of time going with growth. And it's not like, I'm not so systematic in the sense I'm like, okay, 2 weeks. It's more like a feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I feel like I feel pretty good with where I'm at for my skill set for this certain comp, so now I'm just going to focus on refining.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, just how I see it is like a lot of people in most gyms, they just kind of want to come in, do their rounds, and get out, basically, right? Like the way the jiu-jitsu class is structured. But you seem to have this whole other level of like learning, basically. So, so when you're training, for example, you don't kind of do the traditional like 30 minutes of class, positional sparring, and then just rolling, obviously, right? You approach it in a whole different manner.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, jiu-jitsu is like, to different people, it can be different things. I think this is one of the things that makes a hobby, I'm not saying jiu-jitsu is special, like whatever hobby you're doing, it that takes you away from, it can give you a means to socialize, can give you a means to stay fit, can give you like something to think about, right? It's like whatever you want it to be, it can be this for you. I'm not saying everyone has to approach it exactly the way I am, right? But for me, it's, the reason I enjoy it is because it kind of gives me this like intellectual playground where I can think about all these different ideas in this way. I mean, obviously there's the bonus of, okay, I can stay somewhat fit, and then I can also socialize. Like, I mean, most of my friends, I mean, are met through jiu-jitsu. I don't know how I would have known them otherwise. So yeah, but I think that's what I really enjoy the most. So like what you're describing, where it's like this kind of approach. Like, I was fortunate enough again, where fairly early in my jiu-jitsu journey, like I was encouraged to watch instructionals, and even during class, once I got to a certain level, my instructor was like, man, you can drill as long as you don't interrupt the class, just drill whatever you want to drill. You can like, they're very open discourse about a lot of these new ideas, and he was very open to new information. So it really was a great environment for me to actually like really try to learn a lot of new things.
Yeah. So if we're gonna discuss, like, if you're gonna tell, like, explain this to an idiot.
Same, bro. That's the reason I'm doing jiu-jitsu, you know?
So like, in terms of like when you're doing training, for example, so let's say, what would that look like in a typical, let's say, week or month, and how you're trying to do it, basically? Is it like mostly positional sparring? Is it I'm studying this and I'm gonna try and do this during a roll?
Yeah. So I mean, for example, like right now we're leading up to, for me, CJI, Kenta, ADCC, right? So right now we're still far enough out where it's not going to be like super performance oriented. We're still working on the skills that are going to be, or what we think is going to be appropriate for the rule set, but then slowly incorporating rounds, maybe like a shorter volume throughout the week of, okay, well, now we're going to do a competitive ADCC round. And like, this is something I think is very important. And it's like, you need that period where you get to practice these techniques, but then you need a period where you can actually use them in a competitive situation. So right now it's going to be more oriented towards ADCC, and that's the goal. But then when we're outside of that, man, I might just do something because I think it's cool. Yeah. Right. So for example, like a lot of stuff I was playing with before I came into like this camp is like no-gi omoplatas, and then using that and how I can play with that. Just because I found it interesting. I think it's cool. I don't think it's like mixing omoplata with crucifix and K-guard, and then like what Levi does in terms of like Xanadu guard, and this is just because I find it interesting.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my progress in jiu-jitsu is led by my own curiosity more than actually trying to win. You know, I mean, like now I do think about, okay, what's the strategy for me to win a match, right? But it's still like largely guided by, okay, I think this is pretty interesting. I'm gonna try to play with this.
Yeah. So it's curiosity and the fact that you actually you had time to study, and you like. Would you say you like to study as well?
I mean, I like to study if I think it's interesting. you know?
Yeah.
I think it's honestly about like finding what piques your interest. I do think, I mean, sometimes it can be. I'm not going to tell anyone you should sit through like an 8-hour instructional and bore yourself to death. I watch that.
Some people hate it, but
I watch those videos on at least 2 times speed.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh,
but,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we all know who we're talking about. But, but basically, I mean, I do that if I think it's necessary, right? But I try to be fairly introspective with where I think I need the most improvement. And so I'm like, okay, like for example, I feel like my supine guard is bad. Okay, then I'm going to work on my supine guard. And then what are some areas to start? I mean, it shouldn't be too difficult to find. There are plenty of instructionals talk about this, plenty of practitioners who do this very well.
Yeah.
And so whatever piques your interest, go down that path, you know? Maybe it's not the most like optimal path. Like maybe you do something and it's like, oh, you kind of come to the conclusion where it's like, okay, it's not that good, but then you pivot, right?
Yeah. So regarding the introspection as well, like you you're thinking, oh, maybe I need to improve here, maybe I need to improve there. Would you say you can definitely like accelerate that via having someone else looking at your roles as well, or did you start doing this like by watching your own roles first?
I think it's most important to do it yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with having like a coach help you, and I think it works very well. But in the long term, you want to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be able to not rely on someone else, because otherwise you're going to be more or less a reflection of them and not your own practitioner. I think that there's definitely a time and a place, and it's not necessarily wrong to like really take out some stuff from like an instructor, but that can't be all.
You can't
like,
just be getting like spoon fed the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this. I mean, if you're just doing it for fun, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to get like, I think, as good as you can, you're going to have to, it's going to be a lot of you doing the work. You thinking about, okay, what am I going to do here? What do I think works for me? Because again, like I'm sure, I mean, you've trained for long enough to realize this, where it's like something that works for person A won't necessarily work for person B.
Absolutely.
Right. And then also thinking about why that is the case. And that's going to help you become a better instructor.
Yeah.
And it's like ultimately becoming, your own jiu-jitsu mind, where you're able to think about these problems critically and then derive certain solutions, and then you're able to like, I don't know, make everything make sense a little bit more. So, I mean, this is, I don't know, I feel like kind of the path that I went down, especially like really trying to get as good as I can, just because I thought it would be cool. You know, like I signed up for my first trials when I was an orange belt.
Yeah.
It got delayed till 2021, 2022. But I thought it was always fun, you know?
Hey guys, on my Patreon, I post free breakdowns from the newest matches I can't share on YouTube. On top of that, you'll find a lot more study material built to level up your jiu-jitsu. I'm sure you'll come across something there that helps your game. The link is in the description and pinned comment. And if you're new, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next study.
So I asked you about your favorite instructionals, or the ones that you recommend for people. Maybe one, you're 19, so you know I try to refrain from asking like, what would you tell a young competitor, because I always feel like, man, this guy, I'm 32, so I still have dreams, you know. But you know, obviously the youth is going to be able to relate to you. Like like I said, I'm a head coach at Underworld Jiu-Jitsu, and I have 2 15-year-olds, and you know they got the whole world in front of them. You know, they want to do MMA. One of them wants to do MMA. The other one definitely wants to do competitive jiu-jitsu. And so, yeah, what would be your piece of advice? Because to them, you're like, you know, the superstar. So what would you tell them as to like maybe one thing that they could focus on that would definitely help them?
Yeah, so I'd probably say like, I do think you want to have like the long term in mind, because I feel like you see a lot of young kids burn themselves out sometimes. And so I think that's something to be cautious of. But in terms of in general, I think it's like, try to make sure you still enjoy training. Obviously, there are going to be days that are tough, and sometimes those are necessary, but you don't want to put yourself in a situation where, like, I've like, especially when I'm training here, sometimes like I'll be doing 3 a days, and if I'm training hard and I'm not really doing anything outside of it, sometimes it'll get to me where I feel a little bit more burnt out. So being wary of this, and that doesn't mean like taking like days off training, but it's kind of like where are you occupying your mind? Because sometimes if you take training too seriously all the time, you kind of lose the love for it. And I think that's kind of what'll really keep you going. There are a lot of things like you can push hard and really get a lot of things done, but I think it's like you want to be here for a long time, right? You don't want to have to just like burn super bright and then completely burn out. I feel like, at least for me, jiu-jitsu is something I love. It's not something I just want to get good at and then like that's it and then I won't do jiu-jitsu. I want to do it for like the rest of my life. So it's important for me that, especially as like for us, like we're professional competitors, when it's something like it's your livelihood, it can often like running a gym, I'm sure you can relate, sometimes it gets a little bit more stressful. It's hard to really enjoy the jiu-jitsu. So just keeping that in mind and not necessarily putting too much pressure on yourself all the time. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you're about to compete, you really need to like double down, you need to really focus, but then that's not all the time. So like for right now, I'm kind of in an off season where I'm playing around with new technique. I'm really enjoying jiu-jitsu. I'm not worried about, okay, I need to win every round. I'm just kind of playing with things, kind of seeing what I like to do, and just kind of enjoying training as much as I can, enjoying the experience, enjoying the people around me, and so on.
Jiu-jitsu, like, I mean, I've done assault bike before, but I feel like the thing that's helped me
Get
the
into
most,
that mic, boss. Fuck that bike, bro. But that bike does give you great cardio. 100%.
The thing that I feel like helped me the most, though, was like when we were doing the camp, the B team camp, was like Dima's high heart rate rounds. It's like more of a joke now, but it legitimately helps because instead of focusing on necessarily winning the round, you're focusing on tiring yourself. So let's say you get to a great position, you just forego that, and then you work in a position that's going to get you tired. And I feel like, because then you can continue to grapple, but then you're also pushing like your own like cardio.
Yeah,
I feel like that's helpful.
At the thing as well, so it's super specific. So like at jiu-jitsu, you're pushing the high heart rate.
I think this is also the difference between the comp rounds and the high heart rate rounds, right? Whereas like people think the high heart rate is just people trying hard, then they get to a good position and they sit on the back. But he won't let you sit in good positions. You have to like let them go and continuously try to work to get yourself tired. Like you're not allowed to like, bro, if you pass the guy to mount, and you're not tapping him, you have to get off of mount and start passing again. Like you can't just sit in mount and get like, and then start breathing again. You have to continuously push yourself to the point of fatigue where you're like, you don't want to do it anymore. You know, that just, you're like, you can't breathe, and then you're still trying to pass, and the other guy's also as tired as you, because obviously in B team it helps that you have people similar level. If you're a lot better than the guy, it's hard to do this, but you can do it, right, if you're just continuously forcing scrambles.
You probably need a Shark Tank at that point.
Yeah, but you can Shark Tank, or someone who doesn't give up. If you have people like this, someone else who has good cardio and doesn't give up, even if you're better than them, it'll be annoying if they don't give up. You can get tired.
What's it called? For the high heart rate rounds, they Shark Tank Nicky Rod.
Yeah, you got to, yeah. But everyone just gives up, you know. This is tough. It was like 3 people.
Never surrender.
That's 3 people for Nicky Rod.
Yeah, 3 people.
That's hilarious.
Game or round around this. And so this is kind of like the approach I think like the ecological people take, as well as like Robert Ecke.
I love the idea of games and specific training to sharpen skills, man. That really is, I think, in my own training, something that I really enjoy and something that really seems to help me. What's an example of a game that you'll play on the mats, and why do you feel it's such an effective way to practice?
So there are quite a few that I like to play. I think the first game that I was taught and that really stuck with me was this game in Mandarin. It translates to like Crazy Turtle. So it's just fun names, right? But
how do you say that in Mandarin? I have to hear it in Mandarin. How do you say it?
疯狂乌龟. So
okay.
Yeah. So it's just like basically you start in a side pin position. However, you're not allowed for a chest to chest. However, the person on bottom is looking at the turtle. So what this creates is a situation where the person on top has to keep someone pinned that not only wants to regard, but wants to like specifically turtle, but they're not allowed to use their chest. And I would find that this creates a situation where you're used to think about like frames, levers, and wedges
more critically, as opposed to just putting your weight and just like, because a cross-face underhook with chest to chest is actually quite hard to escape. If you put someone good, it's quite tough. So putting that handicap on the top player actually encourages like a lot of thought from both sides. Usually initially the person on bottom gets out pretty quickly, but once the person on top gets more experience and starts thinking about this position a little bit more, they actually can take a lot of steps to make it very difficult, because instead of thinking about it, okay, I'm just going to try hold you really tight, they think about, okay, what is actually enabling you to turtle? So for example, like, okay, maybe I can try wedge the far shoulder. So by putting my fist underneath the far shoulder, or maybe I can put my shin over the near bicep and make him unable to turn in one direction, but now he can turn the other way. So what can I do to act accordingly? And then you can think about the hips, the legs, the head, and so on and so on. And I feel like having that handicap of just, okay, you can't put chest pressure, now really gives you the option of, okay, now what can I do with all these other things?
That's outstanding.
So that's just like one example that I thought was like very useful. And there's like, you can basically, as long as you have a idea or a desired, like what you want someone to do, you can design around like all of these things. Like something like I've been doing recently, just for the context of like ADCC, right, is having someone start in guard and a person on top, and just tell the person in guard to stand up, and the person on top is forced to hold someone down. And you get to think of different mechanisms in which you are able to hold someone down, and then you can outline these, and then people can think about them more. And I find that it enables, it almost forces people to think a little bit more about problems in which you might not have thought of in an open round where everything is allowed and so on.
That's great, man. That's really awesome. I really like that. Let me ask you this. For people out there that want to start applying games to their own training, but maybe the structure of their academy they train in just doesn't offer things like that, are there any games that you play where the other person's not aware they're part of your game? Like, are there things that you're just in your own world trying to do and you know, with a participant that might not be aware of what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder to do, but definitely possible. I think a way, like, for example, like Bernaki's Fuck Your Jiu-Jitsu, I think he stole this from Ryan Hall, where Ryan Hall, I remember him saying that he saw Ryan Hall just like kind of like dancing on someone, where he was just like almost just like a gargoyle on their turtle, and like in a way he thought it was like disrespecting their jiu-jitsu. So approaching someone's jiu-jitsu in the sense where you're going to let them get everything they want, but not let them do it successfully. So you can approach this from different perspectives, but from top, for example, a good example of Fuck Your Jiu-Jitsu would be like, I just engage as deeply in your guard as I possibly can and just not let you get any offense going. However, there are issues to this, because obviously if you're not communicating that's a game, let's say I fuck up and get swept, then I can't really reset. And so there are problems to this. But you can do things like that, and similarly with guard retention, where if you were to want to play a game focusing just on your guard retention, you can play a game where you basically don't attack your partner from guard and you just work on your guard retention, as opposed to, I find a lot of people, they almost disguise their weakness in guard retention with guard offense, where sometimes people have places where they're very comfortable in guard that they don't necessarily, if they're good at getting there and they're good at playing the position, it's not necessarily often in which they're not able to get there. So practicing the stuff outside of that is not necessarily very common. So sometimes people have weaknesses the moment you get them outside of their guard of choice. And I think this is something that one can choose to play. But obviously, because it's not necessarily mutually consensual, that if you fail the round, then you don't necessarily have the ability to reset. But this is one way I do this a fair bit if I'm just like cross training or something like this.
Yeah, that's outstanding, man. I love what you said there too about the tendency people have to mask their weaknesses with kind of their stronger points. And I know I've certainly been guilty of that myself. In fact, when you mentioned guard retention, that was the primary thing that I would focus a lot on my offense to hide the fact that my retention was trash. So, and I eventually doubled down and started focusing on my retention, which I'm glad I did. But you know, speaking of focusing on weaker areas and trying to sharpen things, something that was revolutionary for me in my own progress is when I started keeping keeping a training journal and actually like physically logging things that I was learning and not just relying on my memory to keep track of everything. How do you typically catalog your own knowledge and track your own progress?
Yeah, so that's actually quite funny because I actually started keeping a training journal from listening to you talk about this, and I eventually changed it a little bit, where like I actually have a few books of my training because I would basically just write down everything I learned in class, but at this point I've kind of adapted it. I think I have like 3 or 4 notebooks full of this, but I eventually adapted this, especially because I find it's more important for me. Like, so for example, I'll just like describe what I do, where I kind of write down what are my thoughts and certain conclusions that I've come to from my own training and trying to derive information from training, and not necessarily from instruction. Because what I find is sometimes, like, if I were to derive something directly from instruction, I don't have the first-hand experience that really makes it stick per se. Whereas if I have something from training and I've like experienced it and it feels like there's something there, and that can often come from me watching an instructional, then I write it down. But I'm not gonna watch an instructional and just write it down without having experienced it per se, because I find that there's too much disconnect there for me to actually be able to use any of it. Often what I'll do is I'll screen record an instructional, and before I not the whole instructional obviously, but certain portions that I really want to revisit, and then before I'm training or whilst I'm training, I'll review these and I'll like look through them and I'm like, okay, let me try play around with this and so on and so on. And then if I'm able to derive anything from that, then I'll write it down in my notes. And so this is how I've kind of used it in more recently per se.
That's awesome. Well, man, I'm flattered that you started doing that by listening to me, man. That's really cool. Yeah, I actually have to give credit where credit's due. Rafael Lovato Jr., my interview that I did with him, my second one that I did with him, is when I realized he was talking about the importance of keeping a journal, and he's like, I don't see how someone could go through the motions of jiu-jitsu and expect to remember everything in this really complex art. And I started thinking to myself, like, dude, no wonder, like, when I'll come across a move and I'll remember that I learned it like 6 years ago and just totally forgot about it, you know. So that made me realize I do have to start writing things down. Once I started doing it, I'm like, dude, how did I only start doing this as a purple belt? Like, what? Oh my God, all the lost years, you know, that I could have had data and I just let it fall through my fingers. Yeah, I also found that keeping a training journal also helped me approach future training sessions with more intent. Like, it helped me form goals and identify specific things I wanted to improve on. What are your thoughts on entering training with intent and purpose rather than just going through the motions? Like, do you typically have like a really well-defined list of things you're trying to do every session when you arrive to training?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's very important to have intent when training. There are times where I will because I feel like intent is very important in terms of progression, but sometimes I find that if I'm too rigorous with my intent, sometimes I get a little bored. I'm like, okay, I want to explore other things. So I do give myself the freedom to explore other things, whether it be I will practice things that what I've been working on, this is something I will practice, but then I'll also leave time where I can practice other things that might not necessarily have been on my radar. So, like, for example, for today, my friend showed me a very interesting guard pass that he learned from an instructional that just came out. And this wasn't part of what I had planned on working on, but I worked on it regardless because I thought it was very interesting. And so it's kind of a mix between the two, but I definitely think, like, most of the time I have something that I'm trying to work on. There are times where I try to, like, especially now I'm not really competing as much. I find that I do have the luxury of just being able to take a lot of information. But when it comes to competing and when it's more competition season, then it becomes more refined and less, okay, I'm going to work on certain things. It's more, I'm going to work on my game as a whole and so on and so on.
That makes perfect sense. Do you typically study people that you know that you're going to be competing against, or do you prefer to just hyper-focus on your own game? Because I know for some people it psychs them out if they're just doing nothing but watching tape of people they're going to go up against. And for others, they find it to be very valuable. How does that fall for you usually? So
I found actually a very good way around this where I like watching tape, but not of people I'm gonna fight, because in situations like these, I don't feel like I can look at it very objectively. I kind of just I kind of get in my head a little bit too much. So I have my friend who's like functionally my coach now, Dima, look at the tape for me and make notes for me from that tape. So it works well, so I don't really psych myself out, and he can just tell me, because I trust him very much to tell me what's important, tell me what they do, what I should do, and so on and so on, because he also has a good understanding of my game and can look at my game very well. So it's very good for me in this sense. Like he's been a great help for me, because yeah, otherwise watching tape of my opponents, it gets a little bit too difficult.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like sitting and watching like a highlight reel of someone you're going to compete against. It's like only like 5 minutes of them just being amazing.
It's even worse when you're in the highlight reel.
Yeah, exactly.
This is literally what happened. I'm like, I don't need to watch this again.
Yeah, it's like, dude, just delete this. I'm not going to, yeah.
Shout out to Mateusz Jasinski.
And there you go. Dude, we've all got one. We've all got one, man, for sure. I'm almost sure I've been in some highlight reels of other people myself, man, for sure. In fact, one I know I have. I got caught with a flying submission as a blue belt, and I was just like, oh man, I'm just gonna close my social media for a little while. Yeah, I'll come back later. You said that one thing you like to absorb is instructionals, and that they've helped you a lot in your journey, and I can definitely relate to that too. I like what you said is that you take them. It seems like you take instructionals in chunks. Like you'll record segments and sections of the instructional that are really important to you and things that you want to focus on. How do you typically absorb the knowledge from the instructionals once you've done that? Like, do you catalog them in a certain way? Do you what do you do with those chunks once you've taken them?
So generally, I don't necessarily catalog them, but I do have a fairly good memory in regards to where it's distributed amongst my camera roll. So
nice. That's a
I
struggle,
find that
yeah.
I've actually had fairly good success. Like I've actually found clips from 2 years ago, like pretty quickly, that I just remember. Oh, I remember seeing this like from some Atos training footage on Flow Grappling. like literally this happened the other day, like from a year and a half ago. I'm like, oh, I've seen Kynan do that, and then I found it, and so I think like I haven't had too much issues with needing to catalog it, but something actually I do think it might be a good idea, just having it in certain folders, because my friend Dima, he does this, and I've wanted to do it, but it might have been partially out of laziness not having done it, but also maybe I don't know. I think it's not necessarily a bad idea, but personally I haven't really formatted it like this. I used to actually have an Instagram account just for uploading my tape study, but it has been a few years since I've updated it.
That's awesome. Well, dude, I'm jealous of your brain, dude. That shows a stark difference between your brain and mine, that you can find something from 2 years ago just like that. If I don't have a folder, man, it's as good as gone. So that's that is awesome.
Only with Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing else. Only with Jiu-Jitsu. I think most of my brain capacity has been like purely dedicated to jiu-jitsu, because I'm mostly dysfunctional in other parts of my life.
Dude, that is so common though. I'm not going to throw any of my friends under the bus, but I got a few people I can think of where it's like, dude, everything in jiu-jitsu is great. Everything outside, it's like, dude, they're delinquent on 100 bills. They're like, they missed a summit. It's like they missed a flight. They can't make travel arrangements on time. It's like, dude, how are you this functional in this realm of our little jiu-jitsu world, and everything else is just chaos? But that is cool though, man. I like that.
But I mean, back to the question where it's like favorite instructionals. Like back then, it was like these were what I watched. I watched a bunch of crazy instructionals, but then I basically, after ADCC 2019, I was like, okay, who's the best grappler? I was like, Gordon. So I'm just gonna watch all the stuff associated with him. So Danaher and Gordon. And so this is basically all my early instructionals are from them. So like instructionals that I really liked was, I think underrated ones are like Danaher's half guard passing and dynamic pinning for go further faster. This was super sick for my passing. I mean, this was, even now, like there are a lot of those themes in my game, like heavily. Gordon's seated guard, thought that was sick. I mean, this heavily influenced my style of play. Like a lot of my butterfly guard, I like pinch headlock, and all of this was basically from watching that instructional. And then like there are a lot of other like Danaher ones I really like, but it really depends on what area of focus you want. But
do you have like, yeah,
I was gonna say Bosch. It's good.
The only other person I've watched is Lockton. You watch any Lockton?
Not too much. I mean, I watched
Mr. Charles.
I watched his 50-50 one after ADCC, but other than that one, I haven't. I've watched some of his what's it called? Front headlock one, his half guard one. Before he was known as a leg locker.
His cat and dog one's pretty good. Actually.
It was like his half guard passing.
He won got third in the absolute.
Yeah, this was before it was like he was still big on Fanatics, or it was like his half guard anthology, right? And then that's what he was known for. And then he won the absolute. And then he was like a leg locker and super flexible.
Yeah,
I think something Lachlan does super well is like
body lock.
His game is the body lock one was also quite good.
Yeah,
but it's like he's fairly knowledgeable in all these different areas. I feel like his game has shifted so much.
Yeah,
you know, like obviously after ADCC it was like K guard and stuff like this and backside 50-50. But before that, I knew him for body locking and half guard. So it's like it's quite interesting.
Do you have like an approach when you watch an instructional? Or you watch like informative videos?
Generally 2x speed, and then I don't really write down notes. I did at the beginning actually, but I moved to just screen recordings. So if any important part, I'll screen record it so I can it'll be like 1 or 2 minutes long. Yeah. Even like maybe 15 seconds long.
Just more digestible.
It's so easy to access. As opposed to having to scrub through a whole instructional again. I much rather just have those
little recordings.
Would you watch until you see a move that you want to try, or like a segment, and then you go, or would you just watch the whole thing and then have all the segments and then go through them?
I kind of watch till I think it's enough.
Okay.
Because sometimes you'll be like, okay, I know this, and then oh shit, okay, this is cool, and you feel like you can keep like then you're like maybe you're tired or whatever. But if it's like oh shit, I can keep watching this, I'll generally keep watching.
Yeah,
because it's like it's a matter of how much you can focus on this, right?
Yeah.
So if it's like okay, I can't really, I'm not getting much from this right now.
That's it. It's enough. Yeah.
You just leave it. Come back to it later.
Yeah, but then the screen recordings help because then if it's something like super valuable, I don't have to go through the whole instructional again. So yeah, and then I can just pull that up while I'm drilling or about to practice. So I can have this fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
Hey guys, on my Patreon, I post free breakdowns from the newest matches I can't share on YouTube. On top of that, you'll find a lot more study material built to level up your jiu-jitsu. I'm sure you'll come across something there that helps your game. The link is in the description and pinned comment. And if you're new, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next study.
That grip. What a man.
What
a man.
What a man. How's your lifting going, Joseph?
Pretty good.
Yeah. You've been lifting for a while? I thought you've been lifting
last
for
6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good. I'm enjoying it. I feel less injured.
It's only been 6 months?
Since it was like right at the start of it was a bit before the B team camp, before CJI. How long ago was that now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
right?
6
months. It was
probably
like
8 months, yeah.
Maybe something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because before, I mean, I was getting a bit injured, so I was starting to lift, and then, yeah, it's been
That's the
quite
goal.
helpful.
Get less injured, right?
For sure.
Young Wesley, you still lifting? That's a no. That's a hard no.
That's a hard no.
That's a hard no.
That's a hard no. Definitely not right now.
Why? You got an upper body.
If you're not training, you should do upper body.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just fucking.
Upper body is easy.
What
though.
the fuck?
I love
What do you
a
spend your
little bit
days
chest.
doing?
KYS, man.
What do I
What's
spend
going
my days doing? Yeah.
Watching flight reviews.
Flight review.
That makes sense for sure. And that's something I think that doesn't, I don't know, get talked about enough is like the conscious part of jiu-jitsu. And one thing I find interesting is like eco is becoming very popular, and they don't dismiss the conscious part of it, but they kind of, I don't know, don't put a lot of weight on it. Basically, it's more about like your body's like, I don't know, I guess reactions and to the environment. But what's your opinion on eco as someone that trains it with high level guys and competes at a high level? Like, do you think that like one thing they say is that there's no value in static drilling whatsoever, but is that something you agree with?
I mean, I don't like static drilling generally. The way I drill is usually with dialogue. I do think eco, I mean, they're a bit extreme for my liking. Like I drill, but the way I drill is like with dialogue. I'm not going to do a knee cut for 100 reps, right? Or especially with no resistance. I'm going to be talking to my partner and I'll ask them, can you give me a little bit of resistance here? Think about what they're doing. And then I might ask them, okay, why are you doing this? Right. So I can get a better understanding of what's happening there. I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with constraints. I think it's been around for a long time. I do think eco, there's a little bit like, I mean, I think they're the first gym that I know of that are
going fully that way, at least to my understanding, right? I generally I see all of these training methodologies as different tools, and that's like if you only use one, I feel like you're almost limiting yourself a little bit, because not only are you like one of the issues I see with the ecological approach is that then you're going to do a poorer job of communicating information just because of by nature you're relying on like your body's sensitivity to it. But then if the problem and what you're doing isn't clear in your mind, it's going to be hard to build off of that and hard to think about the problem critically, if that makes sense.
No, that's exactly what I think too. Like, I think the majority of class should be live, but I still think there's a place for, learning the way other people do things, and having it slow down can be helpful. Like, if something's complicated to figure out, I'd rather do it just a couple times without resistance. I don't want to do it for like an hour, but like, it's a couple minutes just to kind of figure it out, gets the action capacity for it. So like, I feel like I can do it, and then try it live. But yeah, I've had a lot of discussions about eco, and like I've gotten some flack for it, in my opinion. So it's interesting hearing you say that for sure. And that's one thing I think, yeah, like you said, like I think just the talking about is very helpful, and understanding it, because sometimes you're in a role and like you don't know what to do. It's like slow down and you're thinking like, what should I do from here? And I think that that's like an example of like thinking during your role, and it can be helpful to like pull something out of the bag of like, oh yeah, I learned that from an instructional, or like my coach told me to do that, and that can be very helpful, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. I would definitely agree with that. Just because it's like, I don't know, it's hard to really say that, because I've heard like people talk about this, and I'm definitely not the most like well versed in like what like ecological is, but I've heard like Greg Sauter say, "Oh, you never do the same move twice," and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I do some things pretty consistently. I mean, like, I definitely think there's something to be learned in a lot of these sequences. It's like, yeah, I mean, I think you understand what I mean. So it's just like, yeah, I do think it's a tool, and like you said, I think like definitely the conventional class structure of like, let's say like 45 minutes of technique and then like 15 minutes of rolling is definitely not great. Like, for example, some of the classes I teach, I like to teach technique a lot, but then I'll try to integrate like a lot of discussion in with the technique. So like, let's say I teach for 45 minutes, we're probably going to go live for more than 45 minutes afterwards. And a lot of the live will be directed. Okay, I want you guys to work in this position against like some degree of resistance, and then such and such, right? So you can really kind of hone in on certain ideas, and then you can slowly start to open it up.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. And like, what would you think? Like, what would be your view of like the perfect class for a beginner compared to like a perfect class for like advanced? I know like perfect can have different meanings, but like, if just like what do you think would be optimal? Like, for a beginner, would it be like doing a lot of technique, or doing a lot of live training, and how would it differ from an advanced or competition class?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not very experienced in teaching beginners, so I wouldn't be able to talk from experience. I could guess. I mean, like, if I was a beginner again, how would I like to have class structured? But this is like, everyone's different, so I can't really talk from experience in regards to beginner. So I would just basically guess. I'm like, I assume like having games would be fun. Obviously, you'd want to make it so that no one gets injured. I do think some movements are important, especially depending on what type of things, like forward rolls and stuff like this. You don't want anyone spiking their neck, right? So I mean, stuff like this is still important, and getting that done. But then when you get like advanced, like let's say you've trained for a few years at this point, you shouldn't be like, I mean, maybe forward rolls to warm up, but like I hate shrimping up and down the mat. So I definitely wouldn't have that in any of my classes, especially when the mat's long mat, or like the one where it's like you have your heels and you're back off the mat and you're just moving forward on each butt cheek and then you're skidding forward. I'm like, man, I just want to do jiu-jitsu. So I mean, for like an advanced class, I would generally structure it around like maybe an idea or a position, and then try to explore some of the ways we can look to approach this. And then you throw in a bit of technique, and like you can mix up between like, okay, show a bit of technique, do a short round, and then throw a bit more technique in, and then so on and so on.
I think now I'm not drilling so much because it's right before comp. But usually, like, so back home, the training sessions we usually have, like in Shanghai, it'll start at like 8, 9, or 10, something one of those, depending on who's available. And then it'll go till like 2 or 3, and like the first.
Jesus.
But it's not intense. So there's a class at 12 or 12:30. So I'll try to arrive like, let's say average it's 9, and then I'll try to drill and do my own stuff for all from 9 to 12.
3 hours of drilling.
It's not just drilling. It's not like, okay, I have a whole shtick about drilling that I can talk about, but
let's hear it.
Measured resistance, basically.
Well,
like not too much resisting, or you drill on white belts kind of thing.
It's not. I'm not opposed to rolling in this first period. Like we can roll, but it's really kind of sandboxing it, right, for everyone. So there's like a huge group of people now. Like most of the guys who train like fairly full time, they'll come to this. But okay, at least what I think of drilling is that you should drill like with no resistance if you can't perform the move.
Yeah.
So if you just can't do it, then you can drill it with like super cooperative partner and so on and so on. But the moment your body can perform the move, then I think that you should either like drill with mild amounts of resistance or drill with dialogue, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. What are you guys gonna do? What do you think you can do from here? How does this feel? Does this feel better? Does this feel better? What do you think are some options for you? What are some things that you think I can do better?
Mostly talking rather than actually moving around. Yeah,
I don't like drilling for reps.
Yeah,
generally.
okay,
Like,
agreed.
I would avoid this. Like,
And the thing is, if you have a good partner, like if both of you have a good knowledge in these positions that you practice, you can actually come up with pretty cool stuff in a short amount of time. Like in the beginning of our camp in Thailand, I think we drilled 2 times, like each time 1 or 2 hours, I don't know. And both times we came up with stuff that, I would probably need to drill with someone else for 2 months to come up with stuff like this. So this is also pretty enjoyable. And I think this makes the drilling way easier. I believe Joseph and I could probably drill the whole day and be very happy about it, even if we don't spar.
Let's say you were to teach a class, would you set drills? Because I still set drills, and I feel like, but I just make the drills hard enough that maybe some people will get them pretty fast, and then some people will just never get them by the time we move on to the next drill. And like, is that correct? Should you just be like, all right, play around with this, or should you just get people to complete the move perfectly before you move on?
Depends what your goal is.
Hell yeah.
I'm really good at
you
jiu-jitsu.
can't do it perfectly though. Like you're like, oh, this is. I mean, I think if you set a drill, it should be clear what the purpose of this is. It's like, because it's not just okay, you want to do this perfectly, step by step by step. It's like, why am I doing these things? Why are these things important? And as long as they hit the notes that are important, I think it's fine. Because some people, they're like, I'll say, okay, I'm gonna put my foot here, do my hand here, and I'm doing this. But this is to illustrate underlying idea. It's like, okay, when I'm defending the back, I want to put weight into them so that they don't have a great ability to pummel their legs, because they're in like a kind of like an intermediate position where their abs are tense. But that's the main goal. So long as you're accomplishing that, I don't care how you do it. There are the ways that can be better based on like attributes, right? Let's say you're less flexible, more flexible, so on and so on. That can be changed, but I think the most important part is like, okay, what are the notes that are important to hit here? And the same with like specific techniques, right? I think as long as there should be some flexibility, because I think it's so hard to say, okay, this is absolutely the only way to do this. If you don't do this, this is fucking wrong. It's like it's so difficult to say that.
So as long as they have the right idea, they can have little variations and it's fine.
And like depending on the technique, I think you can encourage like thought. It's like, okay, you can think about what are some options that you would tend to favor from here and how you can play around from this position.
Would you say that obfuscates the problem when you have too many options for people that are inexperienced or training 1 to 3 times a week?
What does obfuscates mean?
Like confuses it with other problems.
Okay.
I mean,
big words.
Because you're not showing, you don't have to show them everything. Like if it's someone like new, I'll show like 1 or 2 options. And I'll try to explain the rationale. Okay, why would I do this? Why would I do this? And then if it's someone's more advanced and they have other options, they can incorporate that. But if you're someone new, you still present it in a way where there's information that is very digestible.
Okay.
Right. So,
cool.
And then like some people ask questions. He's like, what about this? And then you can build off of that. But you don't always have to show every possible option from, no one does this.
I think if you do it right, people will understand it regardless if they come 1 time or 20 times in a week. So let's say, for example, I teach in the BJJ Academy in Berlin. That's where I basically train, teach. Good gym. Go there if you can, Berlin. And
Shameless.
And like I have people that come in once a week. I have people that come in every day.
Yeah.
But I have a message in every week. And I think everybody will get the message differently. But even if you only get a piece of the message, it can help you immensely. So I would like to quote Zadulaev. He is the greatest freestyle wrestler of our time. And he pretty much said, the job of a coach is just to show the options. But your job as an athlete is to understand which options are good for you. That means I can obviously show you all the stuff. I can have a vision about your game.
Yeah.
But in the end, your personality will determine your way in jiu-jitsu. So my job is just to show you all the different techniques, stuff, and you in the end will pick up what is the best for you. I could also tell you, okay, listen, I think it's pretty good if you have this footlock, even if you can't do it for 5 months. Like, I would encourage you to do it if I think it's something very, very important. But this is a rare thing. And yeah, like Joseph said, I do the same. And I think, we both pretty much do the same. We are not teaching moves. The moves are just helping you to understand what we want to get to. For example, if you want to pass a guard with a tripod, okay? If you don't understand how to distribute your weight from the shoulder line to the hip line to the foot line, you will never tripod pass. So if you understand what we teach you and if we do it properly, maybe you can complete a tripod pass, but maybe you can do a body lock pass out of it, a knee cut pass, because you understand one or even all three things that I talked about with the shoulder line, hip line, foot line. And that's how new stuff come up. And then I will steal it from you and then we move on with everything. Science, baby.
Give details basically and they'll get the context of it and fit it in wherever they want.
I think, the most important is like, why am I doing this? Why am I going for the tripod? It's not just like, oh, I like the aesthetics of a tripod. It's like, what function is this serving, right?
It looks cool, bro.
Aesthetics of a tripod.
It's like,
that tripod.
It's like maybe you can make the argument, okay, I want to do a backflip pass, okay, aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. But like, it's like, exactly, right? But why am I doing this? So like we talked about this today. It's like, why am I tripoding up? And then that's the main problem in hand. It's not, okay, where do I do, not the specifics. I think the specifics can be, you can come to that later, but it's like, oh, if it's 2 butterfly hooks, then they can move me to either side. If it's 1, I can move over the butterfly hook, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really trying to understand that and communicate that, I think, is the most important part.
Yeah.